When the Air Force became a separate service nearly 74 years ago, our first secretary was W. Stewart Symington. As a former president of Emerson Electric, he was predisposed to capitalize on economic value propositions, efficient processes, and scientific reforms that he felt could benefit the nascent Air Force. Because of his influence, in the 1950s, the Air Force established Education with Industry, a program created to foster communication between corporate industries and the Air Force. This service and industry link became vital, and we continue to rely on it for technological advancements and solutions, a heritage all of you are a part of today. Secretary Symington's mindset and insight fed the development of a successful partnership that greatly contributed to the success of the Cold War. 4 key elements aligned to produce this winning formula: the threat, the strategic environment, the military, and industry. The threat was existential and powerful. Communist ideology, coupled with Soviet development of long-range aviation and weapons of mass destruction, created a very real danger to U.S. survival. Exiting World War II, the strategic environment was changing as well. Advances in manufacturing, scientific discoveries, and consumer demand drove a seamless shift from wartime to peacetime production. International relations and domestic economies were adapting to a new reality and creating global opportunities and challenges. The military was emerging from the largest war in history, and we needed to adapt to the new environment. In particular, the Air Force was at the cutting edge of technology, and it has become a part of our culture as we have grown as a separate service. Our U.S. industry also adapted to the environment, understanding what technology and manufacturing could bring to national security. The Cold War demanded a robust partnership, and both government and industry responded. In the end, that relationship matured, flourished, and was a vital contributor to the outcome of our last era of strategic competition. Since that time, a few things have changed, but those 4 elements are just as important. The threat has changed. Our strategic competitors are modernizing and feel emboldened to erode our competitive advantage in all domains and all instruments of power. They have gone to school on the American way of war of the latter half of the 20th century. They look to challenge our military approach and high-end capabilities asymmetrically. The strategic environment has also changed. The explosion of technology, computing power, the ubiquity of information, the ability for state and non-state actors to rapidly influence populations, and myriad new capabilities, as well as the increasing pace of change, define this current dynamic environment. Militarily, over the last 2 decades, while our competitors advanced, we necessarily focused on a different threat. Terrorists and violent extremists attacked our nation, and we responded accordingly. However, history may show that the most consequential long-term impact of 9/11 was the fact that it took us off track in what has become the strategic competition of the 21st century, with potentially more profound and enduring implications for the American way of life and preservation of our values. Without a specific Sputnik moment or Cuban Missile Crisis, we find ourselves in a very uncomfortable strategic position, arrived at in a much more subtle way. Industry has changed as well. The U.S. government and Department of Defense don't have the preponderance of answers to address all of the challenges of the current and future threat environment. While the traditional defense industry is adapting, our population's access to technological tools and applications means we have a much larger pool from which to garner solutions to complex and dynamic challenges. The entrepreneurial spirit, the lower barrier to entry, and enduring patriotism of our current and emerging industry make it far more adept at responding to the evolving landscape. So here we are, in an era of strategic competition every bit as challenging as the last one. The contours are different, but the opportunities are just as fertile, and the outcome is just as consequential. Make no mistake, the relationship we foster between defense and industry will be as important to victory in this competition as it was in the last. Our military must capitalize on your agility and innovative ethos to support our national security objectives and secure peace and prosperity for the next generation. Events like this supernova are the engine for the change we need and set the pace at which we need to achieve it. Our chief said, accelerate change or lose, not casually pursue it. The stakes are high, but if we put the right team on the field, we're unstoppable. You are players on that right team. Best of luck, and thanks very much.